And we are live for a new episode of the Electrek Podcast. I'm Fred Lambert, your host, and I'm joined by Seth Werntraum. How are you today, Seth?
I'm good, Fred.
Great. All right, so let's dive right in because we have a ton of news this week. And if you guys have any question about what we're going to discuss, make sure to leave it in the live YouTube stream so we can get to it later on the podcast. But let's start with based on our numbers, it was pretty much the biggest news of the week. So let's start with that. But I'm not sure I agree with the importance of it, but we'll dive into it. So Tesla basically had the official announcement about what Elon already discussed last week with the launch of the Model 3, the start of Model 3 made in China deliveries. And as part of the official announcement that they're going to do R&D center and design studio in China and build their own made in China car, design in China car, engineer in China car for the global market. There was this pictures that was part of it, this design drawing, which people think it might be where Tesla is trying to go for that made in China car. I'm not sure I agree completely with that. A lot of people are calling it a compact car, maybe like a compact Tesla vehicle, which is something that Tesla has floated for a while, but was never fully committed to the idea of it. I get how they could see a compact car like that, but to me, the first thing when I saw it, I was like, "This is sort of like an early drawing of a Model Y." I felt like,
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not a car that it's definitely not going to show up like this. Although we've
yeah,
seen the Cybertruck, we don't know what ends they'll go to. But even if you look at the wheel wells, it doesn't even look like the wheel wells are aligned very well. It
yeah,
looks
but it's always like that when you do like a really early design. Like if
right.
you remember every time they launch a car, they had this. If you are at the launch event, they had these little posters that have the early design signed by the design team. You remember those?
Yep,
We
I
have
have
one for the Model S,
I have
X, and
one
3.
autographed from Franz from some thing.
Yeah. I don't remember getting one for the Model Y though.
Nope, didn't get one.
Yeah. So I tried to look for the one for the Model Y. I didn't see it. So I feel like it because the front end is very similar to the Model Y,
Oh,
and
okay.
then it looks like the back end is closer to like a hatchback, like a Model Y than the Model 3. So I feel like it might just be that because I find it hard to believe that Tesla would release a design drawing of a car that they haven't they're not unveiling yet, and they've never done that before. It's not something that they do. So that's what really like I wasn't sure. It's definitely a new design drawing. Is it a design drawing of a new car, a new compact car that might be the Chinese car that Elon was talking about, or not? I really don't know. So I'm more skeptical about the whole thing. But the rest of the announcement was very clear. Tesla wants to integrate Chinese heart into an upcoming Tesla vehicle that's going to be made in China, designed in China, and exported globally. It's an exciting thought because it opens up the door to maybe like a cheaper Tesla vehicle, which Elon sort of shut the door on when he did that Master Plan Part 2 thing, where he was like, he doesn't see the need for a cheaper car than a Model 3 because he think that at a cheaper price range, the Model 3, the full self-driving shared electric car fleet is going to be the better solution, which I don't disagree with. I think he's probably right. He's probably right even over the price range of the Model 3 is going to be a lot cheaper. That said, the how exciting is the idea of a hot hatch from Tesla?
That's kind of what I'm excited about. I'm a Chevy Bolt owner, and man, if that form factor was a Tesla vehicle with a Tesla interior, Tesla screen with Tesla
Tesla
OS,
user interface, yeah.
right, and better tires. Oh, by the way, the wheels on this kind of look like the Model Y wheels. Now that I look at it,
You're right. The new Aero wheels that I've
right?
been seeing on the wall, yeah.
But
Or the Porsche, no, the airline now on the winter tires offered for Model 3
Model
for
3, right?
normal Porsche, yeah.
But yeah, hot hatch Tesla, and Elon did mention a few times, I think, that they, after the Model 3, in terms of consumer, cars, they were talking about a $25,000 product. So this would probably fill that niche, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
They also have to hedge. The idea was that the full self-driving would kind of pay for itself, and having a nice car around that would benefit in the long run. But if full self-driving doesn't come in the next year or two, they could want to have a car that costs $25,000 regardless of it driving by itself or not.
Yeah, could they do the, because I feel like Tesla would never release a car that doesn't have the whole hardware suite for self driving because of all the whole argument that they included in everything, so that they have the safety feature that's enabled by those things. So I'm not sure at the $25,000 range if you could have had this entire hardware suite would include a fairly expensive computer.
Right.
It would be
But
interesting.
you make the battery really cheap, cut cost by
Smaller
building in
battery.
China.
Yeah.
It's
Imagine
possible.
with the efficiency that Tesla is known for in a Bolt TV form factor, how much efficient it could make it. Where like Bolt TV, of course, is known for having a 60. What is it now? 64 kilowatt.
66 now.
66 now. Like on a 50 kilowatt hour battery pack, I bet Tesla could probably cover as much, if not more, distance than a Bolt TV. But
frankly, I don't think they even need to.
Yeah, that's true. And so now I think, why are they doing this? Elon has sort of framed it as we like the China, we like what China is doing in electric car. We like the Chinese art and everything, so we want to do something with that. But there's also some analysts that are pointing to that Tesla might be required to do it as part of the protectionist laws that they have there. They're working around with the what was it called, the free trade zone that they're working on and everything. So Tesla has some requirement as the first foreign automaker to wholly owned factory in China, electric vehicle factory in China. They have some requirements to come up with, and that might be one of them. But it could turn out to be a good one. Really, we could get a new Tesla car out of it, which is I don't think anyone's going to complain about that.
No.
All right, moving on to some Model Y news. There was a lot of that this week. We've seen a lot more signings of Model Y release candidates in the last few weeks, leading up to the start of production, which we think is quite soon based on everything we're seeing. And now on the regulatory side of things, we're starting to see some indication too. Both NHTSA VIN numbers were starting to come up this week, and CARB certification was released for the performance version of the Model Y, which we think is going to be the first one made available to purchase, which was the other way around for the Model 3. But previous to that was Tesla's way to introduce cars. Higher end first. So it looks like Tesla might be coming back to that. Of course, Model Y and Model 3 share... you're supposed to share a powertrain at the very least. And if we look at the data from CARB, which is extremely limited data here, because we're talking about a dynamometer. Is that what you call it? Dynamometer test.
Yeah.
For the range. So that's not a range test that gives you anything close to real life. It's just basically a powertrain test, because there's no aerodynamic performance involved. It's just the wheels spinning and depleting the battery pack from that. So the result for the performance all-wheel drive Model Y was 441.91 miles. So the only good comparison would be with the Model 3 that's supposed to have the same powertrain, which would be the Model 3 performance version. Tesla updated the test with CARBs on that because of the updates that they did to the Tesla software that supposedly optimize electric motor efficiency and improve range. And they also did it with different wheels option because, of course, the performance Model Y used to only come in 20-inch option. Now it's 18, 19, and 20. So we have the result for all three of those for the Model 3 performance. Now we don't have that for the Model Y. And I have to assume that's because you can only configure the Model Y with a 20-inch wheel right now. So then I have to assume that they did the test with the 20-inch wheel. So if they did that, the interesting thing is that if you compare to the Model 3 performance with the 20-inch wheel, it gets less mileage on the dynamometer test than the Model Y. With again, we don't know for sure it's 20-inch wheel, but it would make sense logically. So that was 430. So 11 more miles for the Model Y performance. What does that mean? Hard to tell. Might just be like some tuning or anything like that. That with the machine itself, that because it's a pretty marginal 11 miles on that big of a test here, like 400 miles. So I really don't know. I don't want to make any assumption here, but it was kind of the highlight of the finding, other than the fact that they actually did the CARB test, and that could point to somewhat of an imminent start of production. But previously, Tesla's like for the Model 3, for example, the first CARB test came out and the production started maybe a month later or something like that. So that could be an indication, but it's not exactly precise either. Still exciting though. All right, Tesla this week also launched a new wall connector, third generation wall connector, which is of course Tesla's home charging station, also used for the destination charger network. So what's new with this one? There's a slightly updated design with a white glass front end that, I mean, it's very the same recognizable design, but slightly updated. The big feature update is that there's an integrated Wi-Fi connectivity to a connection to the wall connector. Not clear what that would be for. In the new listing, Tesla says that you can monitor your charge with the Tesla app and receive notification when complete. Wi-Fi connectivity enables over-the-air firmware update and remote service if necessary. Tesla wall connector for the best home charging experience for any Tesla owner. All right.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, you can monitor your charge from the car pretty easily. I guess if you were plugging in somebody else's car, you could monitor how much they're using. I don't know.
Yeah, well, then it would require maybe a new UI on the app then, if that was the case. Yeah, because the argument here is that both of those things, like over-the-air software firmware update and monitoring of the charge, those are both things that you can already do without the Wi-Fi connection because you do it through the car software. Even the firmware update of the charger itself, that is done right now for existing Gen 2 charger being pushed through the car.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what Tesla said before. So that's based on Tesla's own thing. So we really don't know what's. I mean, it certainly opened the doors to probably other things to come up with the Wi-Fi connectivity. Otherwise, I don't know why Tesla would include that. Maybe they include it just so that it's more comparable to other charge ups because now most home charging stations have Wi-Fi connectivity. So maybe they just want to be like not be a step behind anyone, even though they can use it in other ways. Also, apparently the cable is smaller now with the new version, more malleable, according to Javier Vendula, which is who's the product director, was involved in the design of the new generation wall connector. Same good price of $500. Whoop, sorry, you lagged for a second. What did you say?
Oh no, I was just wondering if something coming down the line that they have Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that would be my assumption. They have some feature plan. I just cannot think of anything.
Yeah, nothing here.
As for the pricing, still $500, which is very competitive for level 2 home charger if you compare them to the offering from like Charge Point of Juice
Actually,
Box.
Now that you bring that up, Charge Point and eMotorworks, Juicebox, or they got by NL, and a bunch of others have Wi-Fi connectivity. One of the reasons for Wi-Fi connectivity is that the utilities can connect up to it. So theoretically, maybe Tesla has an agreement with like Green Mountain Power, for instance, where they say, hey, you can turn off my charging if it's a brownout situation. and then if we do that, we'll give you $200 in credit or something to install this.
Yeah.
Con Ed actually has a thing where the things are in the car, but if you charge midnight to 8 a.m., they give you, I don't know, like 5 cents per kilowatt hour that you charge from midnight to 8 a.m. So, and that can be seen on the router too through Wi-Fi. So perhaps they're expecting to sign some deals with energy companies using that Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that would make sense. Tesla's always talked about that a little bit, but they haven't been the automakers that have no, they haven't been pioneer on that front. We've seen a lot of automakers like Nissan and BMW utilizing that more than Tesla ever did. That would make
Yeah.
sense that Tesla would try to catch up at one point on that front. Never been a priority for them, seemingly. All right, a new 85 kilowatt hour battery pack. But don't rejoice yourself. There's probably not necessarily a new cheaper Model S and X coming. Tesla updated its part catalog with a new 85 kilowatt hour pack, and one owner on TMC confirmed that he got it installed. He shared the sticker of it and everything. It's a new 250 volt pack versus the previous 400. It seems like it might be a 100 kilowatt hour pack with one or two modules removed. That would make sense mathematically. With will also like go from 400 VDC to 350. Now the big question is it do they plan to use that pack to offer a new base Model S and X, which they used to do, but now they're only doing the 100 kilowatt hour one? Or is it a new pack that they're producing as a replacement pack for the 85 kilowatt hour pack that are older? Especially the one that we reported on last year, where Tesla has issued a software update that limited the total voltage of the cell, and that limited the total capacity of the pack as well as the supercharging capacity. And some owners are suing Tesla over that right now. So
That's a good point.
Yeah, so we expect that Tesla is going to have to find a resolution to that problem, and replacing the pack would probably be one if they are really that concerned and cannot unable. I was talking about issuing another software update that would correct the range loss that those owners have been seeing. But if some owners are concerned about that, about even getting their range back on their battery pack, because in the first place, this was like we were limiting it for safety reason to protect the battery pack. So like now you don't need to protect it anymore. So it's a strange situation that they are in. So maybe replacing those affected battery pack would be the best solution. So I'm thinking that might be it, because there were 85 kilowatt hour battery pack that were affected. But it's a new pack design that existed before. There were no 350 volt 85 kilowatt hour pack before from Tesla. All right, on the supercharging front, Tesla updated its billing method to add other cost of electricity used for to use for other things than charging. So this sounds a little bit stupid. Like this sounds like it was an oversight in the first place, where Tesla apparently was only charging people at the supercharging station for the kilowatt hour used to charge a battery pack. So if you had, if you have a 100 kilowatt hour pack and you came at the supercharging station with 20%, and you will charge it to 100%, then they would charge you for 80 kilowatt hour of electricity. But you probably use more than that if your car was the car was also pulling energy for the thermal management system of the battery pack. If you were in the car and you wanted to have climate control on, you would also pull electricity for that, and things of the sort. And Tesla was apparently not charging for those things, which doesn't make any sense, because Tesla is paying for that electricity. So technically, the end consumer should also pay for it. But now they said that they updated their billing method. It will include that electricity. For most people, they shouldn't see that big of a difference, especially if they don't use the thing that I just mentioned. But they said that for a tougher climate, where the thermal management system of the battery pack need to perform a little bit more, and also if you do use air conditioning and things like that, then they could see a 10 to 25 kilowatt hour difference on their bill from what they were actually using for charging. So something to consider
Yeah,
on your next bill.
it's so just to clarify, for people who have unlimited supercharging, are they gonna get billed for, uh, heating their car while they're supercharging?
I doubt it. I don't think you get charged for anything if you have unlimited.
Because it's gonna be cold this weekend, and we're going to Vermont, and, I wanna know if I'm gonna get, uh,
And you're on the Model X you're using,
yeah, Model X, so it's
and
got
unlimited.
unlimited, but we certainly use the heat. We don't drive. We drive with like 60 degrees, kind of with sweaters on because we don't want to use too much energy. But when we get to the supercharger, we crank the heat all the way up to like boiling, just so that we don't have to have the heat on, while we're driving.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if that gives us a charge. We
No,
also,
I
I
doubt
have
it.
I have like 170,000 miles of free supercharging from referrals. So like, I wonder how that
Oh
squares
yeah,
up.
because that's miles. That's not kilowatt hour. That's
Right.
based on miles.
Like, how
Yeah.
does that work?
Yeah.
I'm
Maybe
so
you can just convert it to from miles to kilowatt hour, and then you use that.
Yeah. All right. We'll see.
Yeah. Another strange situation this week that came up is with the recent update to be able to do software upgrades from the app. Specifically, it started with the acceleration boost on the Model 3 from a few weeks ago. And then when they did that, they also included the full self-driving and autopilot that you can also upgrade from the app. Some owners started to complain that they were being charged for it without buying it. So either they bought it without knowing it, or there was a bug in Tesla's system and they charged it. And they would complain to Tesla's service people, and the service people would say, "No, it's not refundable. Deal with it and pay the bill." We had a specific Tesla owner reach out to us, Mr. John McLaughlin,
Mhm.
and his wife called him one day saying, I was just in the Model 3 and I use a turn signal and it auto lane changed when I use the turn signal. And he's like, why? We don't have the full self-driving. Full self-driving is required. Full self-driving package is required for auto lane change. So he's like, what's happening there? Maybe they gave us like a free, because Tesla does that. Sometimes they do free trial of the full self-driving system. But then he checking the car and checking the car system. He doesn't see any free trial, anything like that. He checks his upgrade section on the app, and sure enough, they bought the acceleration boost and the full self-driving system. He doesn't remember doing that at all. Look at his credit card, a $9,700 bill on that credit card that he doesn't remember authorizing at all. Reached out to Tesla, and we posted the whole conversation with Tesla's customer service. And Tesla's customer service is a purchase a final. We see that you purchase it through the app, and that's it. And he doesn't remember doing it, though it's literally a one-click purchase on the app. So he could have just done it inadvertently, like like a butt dial, but instead of a $10,000 purchase, that butt dial. And sure enough, another Tesla customer, Nassim Nicola Taleb, a famous scholar, reached out to Elon Musk on Twitter with a similar situation and a similar response from Tesla customer support. And that Elon at that time responded saying that he's gonna look into it and he's gonna make sure that Tesla service can authorize refunds. And when they did post, when the Taleb posted that on Twitter, a bunch of their customers complained that they were in a similar situation. So it looks like it's pretty common here. And it sounds basically like Tesla, the new upgrades to the app for software feature was a new thing for Tesla, a new way for customer to buy software, and Tesla never really figured out a way to issue refund and to remove the software once it's uploaded to the car. So they're gonna have to figure out a way there, which is kind of strange because they were doing free trial, and the free trial, if you wouldn't buy it through the free trial, they would remove the feature from your car. So there's definitely a way to remove the features. So I'm not sure what's the holdup there, but it doesn't. I mean, it's not the first time that Tesla's customer service messed up. Not gonna be the last.
Yeah, so it sounds like they, when you're designing an app and e-commerce, you always want to make it easy to make a purchase. You don't want to make
Mhm.
it too complicated, but it sounds like maybe they went too far in that direction with the design. Maybe they need another confirm or a confirm that's not, where the other thing was. Um, you know, like it doesn't seem like it's happening that much. It's not like a chronic problem, but maybe like, out of the 500,000 people who own Teslas, five or six of them accidentally butt dialed a upgrade. I don't know.
And you know what I just think about? I just thought when you buy the upgrade through the app, it's technically an
Yeah,
in-app purchase through
yeah.
Apple.
Apple
Doesn't
should get
Apple?
30%.
Yeah, shouldn't Apple take 30% of those? That would kill Tesla. I'm sure Tesla found a way around that. They're not giving 30% of that ten
No
thousand
way.
dollars to.
No way. Yeah, that would be pretty impressive. We should get some comment from Apple. We'll have the 95 Mac guys.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking now, especially if it's like if I do an in-app purchase on another app on my, it's like I have to do like through Apple Pay or something. Like they make me I have like the Face ID thing. They make me Face ID or something, and I don't think they do that with the upgrade on that. I cannot do it because I really don't have any upgrades to purchase on mine. But yeah, that's an
This is what it
interesting
looks like
one.
on mine.
Yeah, do you want to click on one?
I'm not going to click on it.
Do a live test.
All right.
Test. Come on.
Pay with credit card. All right, I clicked it. Oh God. Okay, then you have to hit that pay button again.
Okay, well that's at least a second step. If you do so, but I think if you just
Yeah,
touch that thing,
I'm
then
gonna
it's
get off
done.
this page as quick as I can.
Yeah, if you just your thumb just slides over it, and then you get charged on your credit card.
I mean, I guess you're not using Apple's credit card in the App Store. You're using your credit card on your Tesla account.
Yeah.
So there is some ambiguity there. I mean, you're already like a Tesla subscriber because you have a credit card on Tesla's account.
Yeah, because the product is not the app.
Right.
The app is just the way to deliver the product to your
Right.
car, to your software update to your car. So yeah, I guess Apple shouldn't have to get a cut on that, but I'm sure if there's a way they'll find it.
They could actually probably take it down at least.
Oh yeah, they could hit them with like a term of service type of deal. Like you want to use the App Store, you have to give us our cut,
which is really like kind of scary because
because that's a lot of money too.
And that's what they would do is take Tesla's app out of the store. I don't think they can disable the app in your phone, but like that could be a pain in the ass for Tesla. Got to be careful.
All right. Next thing, that's solar roof. All right. The solar roof expansion. I'm not sure what's going on there with that because if you remember, Elon was talking about 1,000 roof per week by the end of last year. I doubt that has happened at all. But he also said that in December that one of the top priority was to accelerate solar deployment, the deployment rate. So you want to increase the rate by the end of the year. And we talked about last month that Tesla was looking to hire a ton of new roofers to install the solar roofs. And that was mainly in California, some in Texas, some in Nevada, a little bit in Florida. Now Tesla is planning a whole much bigger expansion in new markets through a bunch of new listings for roofers in Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida again, Hawaii, Oregon, Maryland, Massachusetts, New York. Seth, you want some new Torah tiles?
All right.
New York, New Jersey, Texas, and Utah. So massive expansion. A lot on the West Coast too, like West Coast, East Coast. Sorry, states are now getting it. It's not just California, and I mean it clearly shows that Tesla is looking to expand to accelerate the rate of deployment because the more roofers you get, the more deployment you can make. But yeah, it does look like they are accelerating production of the tiles in New York and Buffalo. But the biggest bottleneck was always looking to be installation because last we heard they were still taking like 2 weeks to install a new solar roof. So 2 weeks is a long time. So if you get 1,000 a week, that's a lot. That's years and years of man hours that you have to do per week. So that sounds a bit ambitious, but definitely some work toward that direction. I'd be curious to see what's the deployment rate of the solar roof at the end of December. I'm assuming that we're gonna know at the next earnings call, but that'll be interesting. I'm hearing some encouraging things in California where people are getting calls from Tesla and they're getting their design pretty quick, and they're saying, "Yeah, we can install them within the next few weeks." So that's encouraging. All right, moving on from Tesla. And if you guys have any questions, make sure to post them in the live comments so that we can get to it after we're done with the articles this week. Chevy Bolt EV is getting some deep discounts. I don't know if you've been following the sales of the Bolt EV, but since the phase out of the federal tax credit for GM, sales haven't been going too well for them. And now it's being reflected into the pricing at the dealership. And Electrek contributor Brad Berman collected some of the deals here that are being offered in a bunch of different markets in Oregon and Virginia, Maryland, Florida, and he's seeing dealership offering up to $10,000 discount on top of the price. So we're getting some Chevy Bolt below $30,000 before federal incentive here, which they still have. What's the federal incentive? Like it's
now it's down to 18,750.
Oh yeah,
1875.
All right. I wouldn't buy it, but if you can get a good deal on a lease,
There you go.
that could be interesting until your next car or something like that. I'm not sure of the resale value of that car in the future, so I'd be nervous about that. But if you go to our dealership, what do we have that? Electrek.co/best electric vehicle prices.
Yeah, if you go to the autos drop down, it's the first link.
Yeah. We do collect some of the best price for electrical as per the headline of that page, and you can get in your area some links to the Bolt TV at good prices, and it goes down to only $169 per month with a $2,000 down, which I think it's a great deal. I mean, if you do some decent driving, if you use it as a commuter car, with your gas saving, if you're coming off of a gas car, it's gonna look good on your budget.
Yeah, and even if you don't live near any of these particular dealers, you can take this price that is advertised and to your dealer and say, hey, look, like this guy, on the other side of the state is offering this deal. Why can't I get it for that? And most times, if you deal with the people correctly, and you probably have to walk out 3 or 4 times, have them chase you down the street, they'll give you the same deal that you'll see in our list here. And there's some pretty amazing things there, like under $30,000 for a Premier is a pretty good thing in Florida. From Miami Lakes Chevrolet, I think is.
And those are the new 2020 with the 66 kilowatt-hour pack, right?
Right. So pretty
all
impressive.
boosted range.
You can probably find a 2019 new for in the 20s, and then there's some pretty amazing lease deals as well. If you click on the lease link there, I think this was just recently updated. Yeah, like I think you mentioned 155 per month with a with a 6,000 down. That's quite a bit.
That's a lot. Yeah,
but some pretty good things running around. Even with 6,000 down, 155 a month is pretty good for 3 years. What is that? 38 cents per mile, according to our calculations. I mean, like I have to say, I'm a little biased. I like the Bolt. I think it's a great car, great around town car. It's fun to drive. It's quite quick, especially compared to all the other non-Tesla EVs. I don't know. I might I think I'm crazy sometimes because I'm such a big Bolt fan. But I've driven like the Kona and the Ioniq and all the other
It drives better than that. Yeah, the Bolt
Yeah,
TV
it's
drives
it's
better than
definitely like the best non-Tesla
that.
EV. Well, I
Yeah.
mean,
Affordable, relatively affordable non-Tesla
right.
EVs.
I
Yeah,
mean, a Jaguar
yeah,
I-Pace and the Audi
yeah,
e-tron are certainly better. But
yeah.
anyway,
No,
that's
I
the
agree
Bolt.
with you, Mal. My main problem with the Bolt TV was that I wouldn't pay the $40,000 that it costs minus incentive, uh, and I because I wouldn't feel like I get what a car of that price for it. Like if I can pay like $50,000 per Model 3, like a well-equipped Model 3, and I feel like I'm in a $50,000 car at least. Like I
Right.
wouldn't feel like that in the Bolt TV. But
No,
now, if you're telling me that I gave them a $2,000 at the signature and pay less than $200 a month, then now you feel like you're getting your money's worth for sure. And then when you account for the gas savings, then you're in business now. You're in business for sure.
yeah,
So
and what's funny is like I kind of put this together over a while, but like the one thing about the Bolt that probably could have made it more uh approachable for more people is the obviously what you said, the price.
mm,
The number one way to make the price better would be to bring the battery pack size down.
mm,
If they bought the battery pack size down to 45, 50 or something like that, they could make it cost, a significant amount less. But they actually made the battery pack bigger. And like they did the one thing that they did to the Bolt, which they didn't really do, LG did,
mm,
but the one thing that they did to the Bolt um, was probably what they should have been doing in the opposite direction.
mm,
So, I mean, this is not a long distance trip car. We've taken ours to
mm.
Vermont. It's okay for that, but the
Not
yeah,
much more longer than that. Yeah.
yeah, 50 kilowatt charging is not going to. I guess 55 kilowatt charging isn't going to impress anybody. It was good in 2016. It hasn't changed at all since then. I think that's kind of outrageous. Anyway, that's the Bolt. I kind of wish somebody was making better decisions over at GM. But on that note, we are going to be visiting with GM, and I think they have a big year coming up. So uh, that'll be exciting to see.
Yes. All right. Now, the Taken Porsche got its EPA rating for the Turbo S version. We already talked about the Turbo version getting its EPA rating. That was already disappointing at 201 miles of APA range. Now we were expecting the Turbo S, of course, to be worse because it's the higher hand version of it. It's the more performance version. And what was troubling, we thought maybe it's going to get 100, 200 miles of range, which is sort of a psychological barriers for buyers to when they get into an electric car, they want at least 200 miles of range. Actually, I think if you pull all American car buyers, they think that 200 miles is the minimum, but like they would all settle for most of them would settle for 200 miles in my opinion. But anyway, it got 192 miles of range, which makes it the least efficient all-electric car available on the EPA list at 68 miles per gallon equivalent.
Yeah, it's a really bad. It's basically 2 to 1, so you get 2 miles for every kilowatt hour, which is really not great. That's like what my Model X gets in like -5 degrees with snow tires in the snow, uh, driving really fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what you want a sports car to get, um, on EPA. It's actually kind of close to what school buses get. Like I'm looking at electric school buses now. They are just under a kilowatt per mile. So this is kind of almost closer to a school bus than like a Model 3 somehow.
Yeah, the thing is that like I don't know what those customers would be looking for. We're also talking about a car that starts at 150. So, um, are those people like looking at like a car for the track or like well and how Porsche has been pushing this repeatable power thing where we can push that car for a long period of time. Of course, that as long as that long period of time is less than 192 miles,
Right.
but um so I don't know. Like maybe like it's gonna be like just a performance car for people that wants to push it on the track, and 192 miles is plenty for those people. I really don't know. We'll see how it plays out. But the way I see it, Taken 4S is gonna be the real seller here at starting at $100,000. It's closer to the Model S, longer range too, though still not that crazy efficient. We haven't had the EP rating for that just yet, but it's gonna come. It started at a battery pack of 79 kilowatt hour, but there's also a 93, just like the Turbo and Turbo S.
Yeah, like you, I don't think this is going to deter people who are spending $200,000 to get a Porsche. Um, uh, kind of related, we're expecting to have our first Porsche Taycan drive next week, so we're excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, obviously, a Porsche is a Porsche. It's not a Tesla. There's a lot of differences inside and out. So but it still confuses me because Tesla's performance versions aren't so bad at efficiency, whereas this seems to be pretty terrible. I mean,
Yeah, sometimes Tesla's efficiency lead is hard to comprehend versus what the other people are putting on the market. Uh,
if Tesla's sedan can get the same, like, what 50% better range than Porsches, and it's still it's still the fast one. Like
mhm.
the ludicrous one can get 300 miles on the same battery pack. Essentially the same battery pack.
Yeah, 7 kilowatt
What
hour difference.
what is why is it so much less
I think
efficient?
it's heavier. I think it's gonna be heavier, which
Okay.
is weird because Porsche has often been known to be able to do like lighter cars, like especially in their
Yeah,
little
they're
sport
usually
two
super
doors.
small though.
Yeah,
Those like Panameras are big
yeah,
cars.
yeah. They have more luxuries in them and everything. All right, Volvo. Volvo has like a sort of a weird resurgence under Geely, and which is a Chinese company, and they're coming out with their first electric car, the XC40, and apparently it's going to be made in China, exported worldwide. So it's an approach that doesn't not everyone is liking, but they are also looking to make an electric car in the U.S. And of course, in the U.S., everything is bigger, so it's going to be the XC90, the bigger SUV that Volvo is making already. They have their electric version coming out of it, and they're gonna make it at their factory in Charleston, South Carolina. And now they announced that they're planning to make a battery plant to support the production of the SUV. So sounds like they might be looking at some decent volume if they plan to make their own batteries for it. That's coming out in late 2022. So we're not quite there yet, but they did announce the plan for the battery this week. Battery plan for the battery factory.
Yep, Volvo with a reputation of being super safe. A lot of people like the big ones. Um, a lot of I would say like my wife's friends who want to be in a huge car, even if there's only them driving for safety purposes or ride height purposes, not necessarily efficiency purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's a big market right now in the U.S. for
Mm-hmm.
better or worse.
Yeah. I mean, I really like what they did with the XC40. Everything looks good on that front. I like the battery pack size they're looking at. Like the power is decent enough for a crossover. I think it's gonna be a great market. So I'm looking forward to what they do with the XC90. I think I'm not a big SUV guy. I wouldn't necessarily buy that car. Would necessarily buy the XC40 before getting close to XC90. But I know there's a big market for it in the US. So you see them around here a lot.
All right, should we go to questions from our viewers?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
All right, let's go. Do you think Tesla will eventually become a China-based company, like a lot of other originally U.S.-based companies have?
Like
So
which one?
I think he's kind of referring to like how Apple makes all their stuff in China. Not sure.
Yeah, but it's
Uh,
not. It's not. I no one would consider Apple to be a Chinese company.
no. Well, so I don't think Tesla will become a
No.
China company. Certainly, they could build cars there for export, which would be a big deal. We were talking about the a possible $25,000 car
Mhm.
being built in China. I mean, I guess that's the best way to get from a $35,000 car, which is really kind of the Model 3 is barely 35,000, to down
Yeah.
to a $25,000 car. I guess one of the things would be to build it in China where all the parts are cheaper, all the labor is
Mhm.
cheaper. there's
But
always
if anything, Tesla is like the least Chinese company of all the other automakers because they
definitely.
are the only one who managed to get an electric car factory in China without partnering with a Chinese company to a joint venture. Everybody else, GM, Mercedes Benz, BMW, Ford, everyone else, they had a venture that they had to partner with a Chinese company. Tesla is the only one which is fully owned American company that's producing electric car in China.
So Lost in the Curve says a commuter will sell well. Doesn't need a whole lot of range. 250 miles will be plenty. I'm on board with that. Especially
Even
as
less than that, that would be more.
yeah, I mean 200 miles. If you have chargers everywhere, it's like a gas car that's like half full of gas, and as long as you
Mhm.
can charge quickly everywhere, it's a pretty good setup, I think. Um, I don't expect in the future when as chargers become ubiquitous, I don't expect these 400 or 500 mile cars to become like the norm. Like you're basically
Mhm.
carrying around 300 miles of range with you everywhere, all that weight, all that
Mhm.
size. When in reality, most people on a daily basis only need to go 20, 30, 40 miles.
Mhm.
So next question. How do the chargers makers use Wi-Fi connectivity? Um, so I have both a uh, eMotorWorks, which sold to NRL, juice box, which I love, and a ChargePoint charger. And both of those have Wi-Fi. I can go into my app. I can see how much charge they're using, when they're using it, off peak, peak. I can set the thing to only charge during peak hours. But most of the EVs right now will let you see that stuff and charge that way. So that it's kind of questionable how useful that is.
Mhm.
Um, I think as we were talking about earlier, Tesla may have included Wi-Fi so that they can allow utilities to turn off charging, uh, as a deal. Like, you know, uh, for instance, Con Ed around here gives us a better rate if we charge in the middle of the night. Um, they check that via Wi-Fi or via these car things. So that's my hypothesis. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, the true answer is like we don't know for sure, but there's definitely some opportunities.
and Bryson Bird says charging between superchargers and hope chargers, maybe. Tesla gives OTA updates to people whose cars are connected to Wi-Fi priority. Uh, I don't know if
Yeah,
that.
you would still need a Wi-Fi connection
Yeah,
from your Wi-Fi to the charger. So
I
if you have a
don't.
connection from your Wi-Fi to the charger, you have a connection to your Wi-Fi to your car.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. That was Racer X was a commenter talking about speed, but we didn't really clarify
Mhm.
where. Um, Giga 3 halt production during Chinese New Year. New Year. I imagine they would. Like it's a pretty big holiday.
Mm.
What do you think?
I'm not too familiar with the Chinese culture, unfortunately. But
Yeah,
that would make sense. Yeah.
they usually have like a. I think so. We were talking earlier how there's no red car in China yet. Red
Hmm.
Model 3. I think Chinese New Year, everything. You get the red things. I think they will release a red Model 3 for Chinese New Year. That's my
Hmm.
prediction. All right, next. Uh, yes, I do have free referral miles, but I don't know how miles translate into heating units for the Model 3 that I have. Not sure how that's going to work. Uh, yeah, Chinese using local workers will have to give off a Chinese New Year. That makes sense. Um, so this is an interesting comment. I think Tesla could come up with a way to capture heat from the motors and wheels to use that in the heater cabin to heat the cabin. I think they're already doing this in the
Yeah,
Model 3,
I think
uh,
so too. Yeah.
or at least to heat the battery. And I don't know about the cabin, but I know that is like a big efficiency gain
Hmm.
to not lose heat through I mean, why have a radiator when you can heat up the whole car? So piping the heat into the car would be and is a great way to save energy. especially in the cold weather. All right. And they do in the Model 3, so this guy knows. K. Kato Doctor.
TCO to doctor.
Oh, yeah. Kansas City. All right. All right. And then custom designed coolant reservoir that handles thermal control for the entire car. Okay. So we're talking about the heating the car with the energy from the heat from the car. Right, we're having a big conversation about that. Similar to having a Netflix subscription, can you upgrade your service with Apple app? When you say service,
Yeah, I don't know what he means by that.
yeah, I mean, I guess anything you do at Tesla can be done through the app because you can just initiate a service call that way, and then it goes manual from there. And then we're talking about how the people were butt dialing upgrades. It should be fully refundable, even if you voluntarily buy it within a certain period of purchase. Customer rights are weak. In many places, you can return physical product within 30 days. In the
Oh yeah,
UK,
that definitely was on Tesla's fault here. There's no reason for them not to issue a refund, especially if the customer doesn't want it anymore. Like take it
right?
back. That's it. No
Yeah,
harm, no foul.
in the UK, it's 14 days. There's consumer
Mm.
protection about that. How do you think that Tesla will charge for full self-driving for the Semi? Do you think it'll be a lump sum or possibly a subscription model because of revenue opportunity?
That was always a weird one, right? Because they do guarantee the like a cost per kilowatt hour that they did like when they first announced it. That's how they did the whole economics of it. What was it? Was it what was it? Was it? It wasn't something crazy. Was it 8 cents per
I
kilowatt
don't
hour?
I don't remember.
It was super low.
Yeah.
But when wait a minute, it's a charger for FSD. What was it? So
No,
is he
sorry.
putting?
We'll charge for full self-driving, not charging.
Oh, okay. I thought he was talking about charging the literally like charge like the semi. No,
All right. If Tesla has a 7-day return policy on its cars, it should extend the software. That
that's
makes sense.
true. Yeah.
Uh, the policy is illegal some places. Does Seth still plan on purchasing a Mach-E? I have a reservation in.
Yeah, reservation, but it looks like the Model Y is gonna come pretty soon now, so I feel
Right.
like you're gonna have a big decision today because I don't think you're gonna have both the Model Y and a Mackie at all.
Yeah, that's going to be a hard one. I mean, the end game for us is to have a Tesla and a not Tesla EV.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a Model Y all-wheel drive is going to be our Tesla
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day. So we'll probably trade in our Model 3 and our lease on a Model X is going to end. And then we'll probably trade in our Bolt eventually for maybe the Mach-E, maybe the Volvo, the XC40. My wife likes a lot more than the Mustang. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, I hate to say it, but like she really likes Teslas. So like I'd be stuck without a Tesla in that case, which nobody wants that. All right. So imagine after Battery Power Train Investor Day. When is that again? That's early this year.
They said early 2020, but they didn't specify any specific date. Yeah.
All right. So probably like June 30th.
Mm.
All right. That Volvo plant in South Carolina is nearly brand new and huge. It would be great to see them add another model to the list getting made there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And more electrics, the better. Does anyone's autopilot automatically slow down dangerously with incorrect speed data? An idea if it could be if Tesla allowed drivers to tap the speed limit icon to flag incorrect speed limit data.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I haven't experienced that myself, but I could see Tesla misreading a sign or something, and but they do use both signs and geotag data, so shouldn't be happening too much.
Yeah. Wi-Fi may also be more helpful for destination chargers for the data. That goes back to the earlier thing about
Yeah,
the Wi-Fi.
that's true. Tesla could make use as part of the destination charger for sure.
Don't know what that means. And then, can you share your thoughts on selling Tesla? That's
Oh yeah,
Model E.
that's right. You did announce this week that you did, and damn, if Seth doesn't always sell Tesla at the peak. As far as I remember, it's been like 3 or 4 times that you called the peak for a rally, and you sold just in time.
I've been
And yeah,
actually good at that for Apple, so
oh yeah,
I feel like I cover a company and watch the stock. I've got a pretty good grasp on it, but I don't want to jinx it, and I'm probably
Mm.
just getting very, very lucky here. But it was kind of at a peak. I think I sold at 243 or something.
540, 540.
Oh yeah, 542.5 or something.
Yeah,
And the high of the day was like
yeah.
545 or something. So the idea, I'll go way into it, but the idea is that I am definitely long Tesla. I just think right now they're overvalued. I think the whole market is overvalued.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of like, I want to get out while there's a lot of value in the market. I feel like any day now, the whole market could collapse like 30%. It feels that way to me. It feels really overvalued in general. So I just basically cashed out, put the cash in a money market or whatever, and I'm hoping that I don't want the market to crash, but I'm hoping that I can get back into Tesla, in the 400s or 300s, wherever it ends up. Although maybe I'm wrong. I've been
Yeah.
wrong tons of times before, and maybe it'll just go straight up to 5,000. Whatever.
Yeah, what I did reduce my position this week at 540. I did sold some share, but like maybe just something like 15% of my share, just take some profit because it was just with the big run, it was just becoming such a big part of my portfolio that it makes any sense. But I did keep most of my position in case it keeps going because I feel like we haven't seen that big of a short squeeze just yet. I mean, we've seen some
That's true.
short sell the position, but there's still a high percentage of the flow that is still held by shorts. So I feel like at some point the shorts might be. Might start to sell en masse, especially if Tesla turns a profit again for a second quarter in a row.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think they're going to report a profit, and I
yeah,
think they're going to maintain for a little while. My concerns are more about the broader
broader
market.
market.
Yeah,
Yeah, that I agree with. I'm also have some concern about that. Yeah.
I mean, it feels like everything's overvalued,
Mm-hmm.
like Apple, Google, Tesla, every stock.
Mm-hmm.
So it, I'm definitely not down on Tesla at all. I think the prospects for long term growth are still huge. I do I have some concerns about the accounting and the lawsuits and all that stuff, but I think they're going to overcome all that. I think it's going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right,
So
that's it for us this week, guys. Thanks a lot for listening. Thanks a lot for watching on YouTube. We're gonna see you same place, same time next week. Ciao.